Hi everyone, it's Tom and I wanted to give you an update on what content to expect from me on this YouTube channel, but also elsewhere for this year, 2022. Obviously the LEC is starting today when I publish this video, so it seems like an appropriate time to give you this update. So to recap, 2021 I did a lot of content on this YouTube channel. I started this YouTube channel to get better at doing on-camera work and to be more comfortable with doing it as well, with interviews, but also just speaking on camera. And I think I improved drastically compared to my very first video. So I think that was a success. It also led me to do some on-camera work for sites where I actually get paid money because YouTube ad revenue is shit. So all in all, that part was very good. Unfortunately, I ended up doing way too much. This YouTube channel was always supposed to be a side project where I can just post some videos and just see how I develop and hone my skills. But I got a bit too invested in it. And, you know, instead of doing some videos here and there, I ended up working 7 days a week for most of the year last year. And by the end of Worlds last year, I was completely burned out. I also did interviews with all the LEC teams and continuously so I put like 3 interviews per weekend on this channel, which ended up diluting my content. Sometimes I do an interview and not really have a specific view of what I wanted to get from that interview. It's just talking to talk, and I think that's not good. It brings down the quality of the content, so that's what I'm not gonna do anymore as well. In addition to this YouTube channel here with, as I said, 3 interviews and also the recaps and the previews every single week, I did interviews for Hotspot every week, I did features, I did news articles, I did work for other sites like Upcom as well eventually. It was just too much. Not gonna do that anymore going forward. So what am I gonna do in 2022? Well, I'll still be making a lot of content, but you just won't find it all here anymore, like not most of it anymore. On this YouTube channel, I initially plan on just doing the LEC previews, in which I will also combine my thoughts on the teams, which you would otherwise see in the LEC recaps. And I will do 1 interview per week on this YouTube channel. Now, that doesn't mean in terms of all my content it's gonna tone down. On other sites, you will still find a lot of content. So interviews, features, news articles, stuff like this, you will still find them. And if you want to follow them, it's best to follow me on Twitter, which is where I post all of this, which you can find below is my Twitter. It is going to be a hype year. It definitely is. I have a lot coming. January is going to start a bit slower. I want to build up as well, see, okay, how am I vibing? Am I able to take a step back as well and allow myself some time off, which I didn't have last year. But starting February, we're going to ramp up a lot. I have projects in the work that I cannot mention yet, but yeah, just keep an eye on my socials if you want to follow the developments there. It's going to be exciting, but you're just going to have to wait and see what's going to come of it. And eventually what I aim to do is that I want to do more long form content as well and see how that is going to go. And if I can do this, think in terms of like Bevies with the Boys, which is a podcast I enjoy a lot. The Crackdown, for example, I think is a really good interview show. And obviously I'm gonna give it my own twist and, you know, like find a way to make that type of content uniquely mine. But that is something for later in the year. So anyway, now I guess we just get to the LEC preview because the LEC starts today and it's very exciting. And let's take a look at the matches. Now, before I get started, I want to say that I'm gonna do these predictions for the initial week based on a tier list that I published. I put the link in the description of this video so you can see what tier list I have and where I rank the teams. Not all the teams are gonna perform initially where I think they will end up. For example, I think Misfits will probably start off a bit stronger than they will end up in the end. So anyway, let's take a look at the schedule and go over the matches. So we kick off with Mad Lions versus Vitality today. And it's obviously a very exciting one because Mad Lions are the reigning champions, but they have 2 new players because Karji left to Vitality and Humanoid left to Fnatic. And against them is Vitality, the super team. I've written an article about that and you can find that on my social as well, where I interview Perks, Karji, Labrov, and Mephisto, the head coach, about how the super team was created. So go there if you want to find that article. I think Vitality is gonna smack Mad Lions pretty hard. That's not to say that I think Mad Lions is gonna end up somewhere in a shit tier, but it's just that Vitality has all these immensely good players on their roster. Mad Lions has rebuilt a lot, where they will have to find a new dynamic in the team. Humanoid was a big asset to them last year. Karzi was a big asset to them last year, and it's gonna take time to train Unforgiven and Reeker to get to this level. So Vitality is probably going to win that one. Then we have Rogue versus SK Gaming. Rogue should win this. I think SK Gaming is definitely not up to the level of Rogue. I do think Rogue downgraded, and I do think SK upgraded. So they should be closer approximately, but Rogue inherently just has a bit more power, I think. Larson in the mid lane, I think, is definitely better than Certis. In the bot lane, obviously, you do have a new bot lane for Rogue where they have Comp now together with Trimby, whereas SK Gaming is bringing Treats back. So I think Treats is better than Trimby as a support. But overall, I think Rogue just has the dynamic nailed down better. So I think they will win that one. XL versus G2. XL is actually a pretty decent team on paper. It will remain to be seen if they're going to make playoffs because, you know, it's XL, so they never make playoffs. But they were pretty good towards the end of last summer split. I do think they downgraded by putting Finn in the top lane instead of Kreis. But they have a pretty solid roster. I still think G2 is going to win because they have Caps, Jankos, Broken Blade. Broken Blade is one of the best top laners in the LEC. Might grow into the best, well, second best or best top laner by the end of the year. So I think G2 will win that one. Astralis versus Misfits. I think Misfits going to win this one. Astralis, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, they got rid of Felix for reasons I don't know, which seems like a big downgrade. Misfits did lose a lot by losing Razork, but they benched Vendor themselves, which I think is a big mistake. So I think Misfits is definitely still going to win that one if I look at the picture overall, because on paper they just stack up better, right? Zlatan is a big talent. He's probably going to explode into the team. Viteo is very good. Hirit is very good. Yeah, I think overall they should still be better. I do think both of these teams will end up at the bottom of the LEC standings eventually, so I don't expect that much from in terms of quality. But yeah, Fnatic versus BDS closed out the first day. Obviously very hyped because it is Adam on BDS versus Fnatic, his old team, and there's a bit of rivalry there, obviously, because he wasn't very pleased with how Upset left Fnatic at Worlds. I don't think Fnatic has that same type of rivalry feeling towards him, but Fnatic is just better. They're one of the two super teams in the LEC, in my opinion. They won the offseason big time with bringing in Humanoid, bringing in Razork. Those two players were pillars for their teams in 2021. So yeah, I mean, it's very hard for me to see how BDS is gonna win against a team like this. Then we go to January 15th on Saturday. Let me see if I can align this up very well. No, I cannot. There we go. Rogue versus Misfits. I think Rogue will win. Just a more well-rounded team. Better at identifying how they want to play compared to Misfits, especially last year as well. I think Misfits was still a bit all over the place, and it's going to be much more all over the place with all these new players on the roster who weren't there last year and who are very new. BDS versus XL. I think this is going to be a very close one. I think overall XL should probably win this because they have a roster where 4 people played together last year. Were very impressive, especially Marcoon, obviously. A very good jungler who came into the team halfway through the split. But I think BDS can throw some fun curveballs. I think Grabs and Duffman are very good at identifying what their players want to do, and it's going to take them some time to get them to that maximum potential. But I do think it's going to be closer than what most people might expect from the beginning. Still think XL is going to win. SK versus Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions wins this, even though they have a larger rebuild done than SK Gaming in terms of if you look at who was replaced and the quality of player that was lost to each team. Mad Lions is just a better team overall. So yeah, I don't know what more to say about this. I just think they're better. G2 versus Flawless. G2 wins this. The Vitality versus Fnatic match of the week, obviously very big. I think in the beginning, Vitality is going to be stronger than Fnatic, and I expect Fnatic to become better later through the split. So I think Vitality is going to win this first one, and we'll see if I am right, because these two teams are supposed to be the two contenders for the title, right? If you look at the roster, if you look at the achievements of the players on each team, all combined, it's those two teams should be the best ones in the league. Let's see if they actually can deliver a fun match as well, with high quality gameplay. I still think Vitality is going to win this. I think Vitality benefits a bit more from initial honeymoon phase than Fnatic. And yeah, we'll see if Fnatic can put up a good fight. I hope so. I really, really hope so, because it would be a big disappointment if this match is just a one-sided slam dunk. So, Sunday then, we have... Ooh, there we go. I am a technical wunderkind. BDS versus Misfits. I think BDS is going to win this. Misfits, in theory, has a pretty decent chance, but I think BDS will be able, through individual power combined with the coaching stuff, finding a playstyle that BDS can execute effectively early on. I think BDS should win against Misfits. It is definitely possible that I am completely wrong, obviously, because I have underestimated Misfits in the past. And then Hirvit, all of a sudden, who was a bit quiet during the spring split, in the summer split, he became really, really good top laner, especially in the early weeks of the summer split. We'll see if they will surprise me again, but I do think BDS is going to take that one. Vitality versus Excel. Vitality win this. They are the better roster. Rogue versus Thales. Rogue win this, I think. Fnatic versus SK. I think Fnatic wins this. And then Mad Lions versus G2. A classic one to close off the weekend. It's going to be very close, actually, I think. I think all in all, G2 will win this. If I look at Caps versus Reeker, Caps wins this. Jankos versus Aljoya, it's a very close matchup. In the top lane, Armwood versus Broken Blade. Broken Blade will absolutely win this versus Armwood. I think he's a better top laner. Was a better top laner last year as well, but Broken Blade was just on a trash team. Couldn't do much about this. In the bot lane then, we have Unforgiven versus Flacket. Very exciting. Two rookies that weren't really discussed all that much before last offseason. You know, like they both were on teams that didn't do super well in their respective ERLs. Mad Lions has a big upper hand in terms of support. Kaiser is one of the best supports in the LEC, perhaps even the world. And yeah, that you just can't say that for Targamas, who's just rejoining the European competition after a hiatus, which he spent in ERL. So overall, I think G2 is the stronger team here. But I do see a scenario in which Mid Lions eventually, you know, throughout the split, comes out ahead of G2, because they have this really good coaching staff that can help elevate their players, and Mad Lions has done that in the past. G2, on the other hand, they've always, you know, they just got rid of a coaching staff that had been there for years. Now they have Dylan Falco, who is just doing something new, and we'll just have to see if he can get the most out of the two players he got new in the bot lane for G2, which are Flacket and Targama. So I do think G2 is going to win this, but eventually I think Mad Lions is probably going to get most out of their new players, if that makes sense. So in the return match, long story short, I think Mad Lions has a very good chance of beating G2. So those are my predictions, and that is my content update. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the interview that's going to come out next week. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see my articles, because as I said, there's going to be a lot more of those in the next year, and also more video content, perhaps for other sites. So stay tuned there, and I'll see you next week.